it with a specific subject that we have for today, that is to share with you guys some tips, knowledge, and my experience as we learn over the years how to evaluate effectively in a contest situation. Now, as we all know that most, if not all, speeches that happen on a Toastmaster meeting, they have an objective, right? Everybody comes on stage, they have an objective, whether it is P1, P2, P3, or P10, right? There's always an objective for a speech that the person is attempting to demonstrate in front of the audience, right? So when it comes to effective evaluation, right, the dictionary meaning would be giving a feedback which is just, which is encouraging, which is also meaningful to the speaker, right? But the criteria is always against something, right? So you will give evaluation to a speaker against something, right? If you start evaluating them based on your own assessment, your own criteria, your own feeling about the speaker or the content or delivery itself, it becomes slightly difficult, in my own opinion, to be conveyed effectively. Feedback will still be given. You can give a feedback to anyone after observing their speech or delivery without having a checklist of what to look for, because you can definitely evaluate them. But if you evaluate them against a certain criteria, then perhaps your evaluation will be more effective. That's what we want to talk about today. Now, in general setup of a meeting, when you're evaluating any speaker, right, there are many ways, and I mean it, there are many ways to evaluate. There are many ways, many forms, many styles of evaluation, right, which could take someone to say, okay, evaluate with a sandwich technique or a burger technique or this and that. There are many certified, known, researched ways that work best. The one that worked best for me personally, and I think that is very close to a Toastmaster experience, is called PIPS approach. Thank you.
Yes. Going in reverse.
So I'm going in reverse order. PIPS approach. Anyone is aware of this acronym, PIPS? Then you're not reading our newsletter, right?
Yeah, first newsletter.
Yeah, because the very first newsletter of JLT Toastmasters Club, I had published this technique. But anyways.
The one with the grid.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so we'll refresh for those who already learned, right? What is PIPS? Again, something which is very much close to a sandwich technique. PIPS technique of evaluation is a simple process where you start off your evaluation by praising the speaker. So you open up your evaluation by praising the speaker on the topic they have covered, the way they have covered, or theme that they spoke about, or anything that you like best about the speaker, right? Then you go straight into the evaluation mode and you talk about the areas of improvement, right? Could be one, could be more, right? Things that you want the speaker to improve on. And then after that, you blend or twist your evaluation to praise the speaker again on the additional points. I'm pretty sure if you are not a very critic, you will find a lot of things to praise about a speaker, right? And the idea would be to make sure you blend them very carefully, intelligently, and smartly in between praise, the improvement points, so that it becomes easy to digest for the speaker. And that's a very conventional, traditional sandwich technique that probably most of us would know, that sandwich your feedback between your praise points so that the speaker can accept it, first of all, can digest it, and also can conclude on a positive note to take an overall positive outcome from your evaluation session. Nothing very fancy here. It will become more fancy when we go in the practical scenario of applying it, right? And the last and the least and the most important one, which sometimes people forget, is, and again, it's a Toastmaster setup of evaluation where this technique works absolutely well. Start with praise, talk about the improvement points, then blend again your evaluation with the praise points for the speaker, and then at the end, summarize your evaluation. Very, very important. Don't rush out to conclude. It's always a best practice to summarize it, and when we reach towards the end of the session, we will see you actually get additional scoring from the judges if you include summary of your evaluation in your evaluation, which means to summarize what you said here, summarize what you said here, summarize what you said here. And it's very, very difficult. I'll tell you why. In a normal evaluation, you get how many minutes? 3. If I have to divide those 3 minutes, right? If I do 1 minute praise, 1 minute improvement, 1 minute praise again, there's no time left for summary, right? If I do 45, 45, 45, how much time left? 45, right? To summarize in 45 seconds, it's extremely a difficult job if you want to do it properly, right? But that's exactly what we learned today, how to do it, right? And the balance is important. You should not be carried away in talking about the improvements in a way that you forget or you don't get time to summarize, or you don't praise the speaker that much that you miss out to tell them exactly what they need to be knowing or to summarize. So the balance of these 4 pillars, tips, is one thing, especially for the contestants, evaluators, you're gonna evaluate. If you follow this technique and balance your time carefully, you will bring trophy back for this club, I'm sure about it. Now, how to apply this? What we discussed until now and learned is not new, right? It's very simple to understand and very easy to apply. We all can confirm that, right? But the difficulty comes in terms of applying it when you come on stage to deliver evaluation, and before that when you're sitting there listening to the speaker and taking your notes, I always used to get confused what to note. There's so much, my writing speed is very much, I'm good in writing, so I can take a lot of writing in few seconds, you know, I can probably take up one sentence in 1 second, I can write very fast, but how much to write, right, and what to write? And then my speaking, rate is also very fast, I can talk very fast, so how much to say and what not to say, right? Those kind of things that make a difference in this preparation mode. So if you go back to the framework is PIPS. So you write that much which give you sufficient, that's my guideline. Write that much which is enough to fill in your 4 quadrants or 4 pillars of PIPS, right? Don't get carried away with too much praise, right? Don't get too much carried away with a long laundry list of improvement points, right? Keep a balance, maintain the focus, and how do you do it? Again, I'm gonna throw out an solution for you guys, which I think works very well for me. Take it or leave it, that's the suggestion. But if you take it, I'm sure you won't regret it, right? In an evaluation setup, start with a meeting right now. We're gonna take it to the contest towards the end. It's gonna same thing with some bits to be added, right? There are 2 options for you as an evaluator. When you evaluate a speaker, you will have a manual, CC manual, right? We're all aware of that, right? That manual will have objectives on the front page and also a questionnaire for the evaluator to fill towards the end. So one option is, forget about anything else, just fill that questionnaire, come on stage and read it out in sequence. But I can assure you, any project in CC manual, if you read out in sequence, right? If you read out in sequence, question was there a vocal variety, was there eye movement, was there this and that, right? If you read it in sequence, chances are you might miss the sandwich, right? So that feedback, in my opinion, is for the speaker. Give him so that he or she can take home and read that. That essentially should not be your guide to come on stage and deliver the feedback. So you should be smart enough to pick up points from those questionnaires, from those objectives, and make your own evaluation feedback summary notes. And how do you do it? You pick a piece of paper. If a club has one, get it one. Then I would suggest that flip over the agenda. The back side is always plain. I used to take up that piece of paper, draw 4 lines, right? 4 quadrants, somebody said a while back. And I'll run through very fast because it's easy. And please, maybe towards the end of it, I'll ask you some questions to see if you'll pick it up or not, and then we'll expand it. We spoke about PIPS, positive, improvement, positive, summary. When you are evaluator, drawing the quadrants take 5 seconds, then start listening to the speaker. You are listening to the speaker, right? Wherever they are saying something, delivering something, actioning something that you think is wow, that's a praise, right? Put the bullet points here. Rizwan came in, right? He engaged the audience. Yeah, engaged the audience with a question, right? With a joke, with a quotation. I did something that inspired you, that's positive, you think was a good start, take it there, right? if Rizwan came on stage and it's saying that he was looking at the floor for quite a few seconds before he could get courage to connect with you guys, you think it's, yeah, put it there. So as you hear the speaker for the 5 or 7 minutes, you will be picking up good points that you want to praise and also points that you think that he or she missed out and I need to make a point to let him improve on that one, right? You start putting those points in different quadrants. The chances are, if you are a careful listener, you will have a lot of points, right? You will have a lot of points. Now, the guidance is, once you have filled this PIPS evaluation framework, right? In the break time, circle the ones which you think are worth mentioning, right? For example, in this example, someone who was the evaluator, he or she has taken notes like speech was well organized, topic was very much appropriate, the speaker was awesome, grabbed the attention with a question, the purpose of the speech was well chosen, it was connecting with the audience, the language was clear, concise and accurate, could be more. However, the person did not move like Rizwan, was standing at the same place, just missed out attention of the audience on the right hand side or left hand side. His vocal variety was not there, it was monotone throughout the speech, there was no ups and downs and no pitch and no rate adjustments. The ideas were repeated, he was saying the same thing again and again. There were no props used, he just came in, delivered something and went, could have brought something. So these are just examples, but like I said, when you are a careful observer, you'll find so many things, right? Having said that, once you have filled in your quadrants with points that you have picked up from your evaluation of the speaker, the best practice recommendation and my request at the same time is, please do not go overboard with what you want to say on stage because you have limited time, and also you want to balance PIPs, right? You don't want to be too much focusing on the positivities. The speaker actually gets carried away that I'm a star speaker and focuses, on one direction. You want to keep a balance, right? Nobody is perfect. Improvement is always there. So how to keep a balance, right? The best practice is to pick up 3 positive points, 2 to 3. 1 to 2 improvements. I know it's very hard to digest. People always argue with me. That's my suggestion. You can do differently. If you go with 4 suggestions or 5, I'm telling you, the moment you give someone 5 suggestions on one speech, you will lose their interest, you will lose their attention, they will forget anything and everything that you say, because human perception is we all like to be praised, right? If you tell me at the end of the speech, Rizwan, you were A, B, C, D, terrible, right? By the way, but you were well dressed, but forget about that, everything was crap. Probably you are right in all those 5 points, but that feedback I won't be able to digest, right? So you have to be smart enough to sandwich in a way that you leave for me 1 or 2 things that actually I can take back home and work on to improve. If you give me a long list of points to improve on, chances are you won't see me on stage back in. And this is the Toastmaster setup. In other areas, other places, minus Toastmasters, it could have been done differently. In Toastmasters, the idea is we really want people to improve and we want to give effective evaluation. Effective is which works, right? And what works is which keeps the speaker back on stage and improves step by step, right? That's the logic. So best practice suggestion, my request is restrict your improvement suggestions to 1 or 2, right? And then summarize your speech through positive points of the speaker. Please make sure you don't repeat the points. That's very important, right? That's why I arrange them properly. And the last and the most important one, perhaps the most important for contest purposes, is after you finish this, summarize what it means. We often forget it, right? It means repeat what you said. Very high level summary. Repeat what you said in a very short form, so that the speaker and the audience, they get a summary of whatever you said in 3 minutes. So bring back your points of feedback, reinforce them. In summary, your speech was organized, your topic was excellent, you grabbed attention, however, you need to work on vocal variety, right? Call to action was missing in your speech, and minus those things, I still believe your transitions and your main point for supporting your speech. This is not repetition if you do it in a very summary manner. Don't repeat the sentences that you already spoke about. Just reflect upon, reflect back, and briefly mention what you said.